Hey everybody, it's me Edward Jones back with a new video. Today I'm doing a book review, a short review on William R. Forstchen's 1 Second After. I want to give a shout out to NC Heal. When I went to the Second Amendment rally at the State House a few months back, I met up with him and Sue Stuff a lot, and NC Heal recommended me to check out this book. He said it was a really good story, dealing with one man's battle during the EMP situation. It takes place in Black Mountain, North Carolina, and the main character's name is John Matheson. He's a professor who had some military experience, and he has to take and he's tasked with taking care of his family, and later on having to be a great influence in the town that he's in during what appears to be an EMP strike. And the story is pretty good. If you're into prepping stories, this would be a good book for you to check out. It covers a lot of tough topics. One one thing that it covers is the potential loss of a loved one. So John, he's already lost his wife, and his daughter, his youngest daughter, she's diabetic. And so one of the themes in the story is his race against the clock to try to do all he can to keep his daughter alive. And it was kind of hit close to home for me because I have a couple of relatives in my family who are diabetic. Many of those who and many other ones who have certain ailments. I myself have asthma, and there's certain allergens that can trigger my asthma. But I've had it. I got into where I can regulate those. I can mitigate those risks. And if something comes up, I have various ways of taking care of it. But with something like with diabetes, and the story does cover situations where there are people who are without um, certain drugs that help regulate mood, that help with mental issues that the person may have. There's a run for those kind of drugs, so there's trying to figure out how we're going to what can work as good substitutions. I think at one part of the book they do substitute insect. They do substitute some drugs for some painkillers for marijuana. There's also the topic of as EMP gets to discuss every now and then in the prepping community, certain older vehicles are in a sense hardened against that kind of attack. And the main character's mother-in-law has two cars, a Ford Edsel, which funny thing is it turned out to be the one of the worst selling cars in the U.S. Actually became a great asset in the story, and a Ford Mustang. And one of his friends, I think his name is Sam, he has a junkyard full of VW Bugs, and he's able to retro. He builds them up to where they run a very simple combustion engine, and they're hardened against EMP. So there are very few vehicles in the having a vehicle is very important in the story, and gives you a great edge against a great advantage over what many other people will be facing if they didn't have a vehicle that could withstand EMP. There's just parts in the book that talk about breakdown of local government, breakdown within society, and a lot of it happens in the fall. So a lot of stuff so like this kind of thing happens right around fall time, which really puts things really makes things more challenging because as winter approaches, trying to get the resources that you need to withstand the winter, and while you're doing that, trying to figure out just how to preserve the food that you have. And there's talks of triage. With local government, has to figure out how to divvy up the resources. Later on, becomes a situation where you have to divvy up medical resources, and it gets pretty cold. There's some cold hard facts that they have to face in terms of who can get what resources, who can get more of this, that, and the other. Local militias form. There are some that there are many of them made up people in the town. And the funny thing is, the main character John, he's a professor at a local college, and many of the members of the student body who couldn't get back home because of the attack, they wound up staying in town and later making up the local militia. So they do drills that are led by by the head resource officer, and this all comes in, it all comes together when they have to actually fight these a marauding gang that has basically have gone throughout different parts of the Northeast, killing, raping, looting, even going so far as the dabble in cannibalism. So, but it's a pretty good story. It's a pretty good book. Apparently, I think it's part of a series. I think there's another book. I think it's another one called 1 Year After. I have to check that out. But this one was pretty good. I encourage you. If you haven't had a chance to read this, check it out. You won't regret it. But I got this at Barnes and Nobles. It only ran me about like $9.99. So it was very cheap. I keep the receipt as like a page holder for when I'm keeping track of where I left off when I'm reading. But yeah, please share your thoughts. Have you read the story before? What do you think of it? Were there things you learned from it? There were a couple things I learned in terms of food and medicine in reading this. Things that I thought were, bits and pieces of knowledge that were pretty handy to have up there in the old storage. But please, tell me what you think. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Thought the story was good. Thought it was a load of crap. Please share your thoughts. Like to hear what you guys think. If you read this book already, if you want to make a donation to the channel, just go to my homepage and look for the Give Up That Cheese button. That sends you to a link to my PayPal account where you can make a donation of any amount. Any amount's accepted. Any gripes, complaints, send me a PM. I see what I can do to address them. But again, shout out to NC Heal and Suits Double Op for recommending the, especially NC Heal for recommending this book, 1 Second After by William R. Forstchen. I'm Edward Jones, and you guys take care.